Parshas Lecha, Hashem commands Avram to go to a foreign land, to leave his hometown, leave his family, and go. And the Rishonim tell us, the Rambam and Pirkei Avos and other Rishonim list this as one of the 10 trials, one of the 10 nisyonos that Avram had to undergo. Here Hashem doesn't even tell him where he's going. Just go. Just go. And it seems like the Pashup shot of the Pasuk, that there's an incentive. Hashem tells him, like, when you go, there can be big things. Pasuk Bey says, I'm going to make you into a great nation. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to raise your name to great heights. You'll be blessed. So the second pasuk is telling me, look, if you go, like Lecha, and you leave, so I'm going to make you into a big thing. So okay, there's a certain incentive over here, looking forward, looking into the future. There's a lot to gain. Okay, there's a lot at stake. That's why it's an Isayim, that's why it's a trial. But there's reward at the end of the day, and the pasuk tells us what it's going to be. Rashi tells us that, according to Gemara and Masechta Pesachim, towards the end of the Masechta, Rashi tells us that there's a little bit more involved in this incentive. Rashi says, what does it mean, Va'avarechecha, that I will bless you? Zeh she'omrim, let's back up. Sorry. I'm going to make you into a great nation. What does that mean? It doesn't just mean that you're going to have a lot of people coming out of you. Rather, Zeh she'omrim Elokei Avraham. That which we say in the first bracha of Shmona Esrei. Elokei Avraham. We don't just say, Baruch Hashem, Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu. He's our God and the God of our fathers. But we say, Elokei Avraham. He's the God of Avraham. He's the God that put his name on Avraham. He was expressed through Avraham. That's what this pasuk means when it says, I'm going to make you into a great nation. It's going to be a nation that says, Elokei Avraham. Va'avarechecha. I'm going to bless you. What does that mean? Zeh she'omrim Elokei Yitzchak. Is that we say in Shmona Esrei, the God of Yitzchak, Va'agadla shemecha, and I'm going to raise your name, make your name great. Zeh she'omrim Elokei Yaakov. Now we say Elokei Yaakov, the fact that we say, the bracha, the incentive that Hashem gave to Avram was that in the future, your descendants are going to mention the Elokei Avram, the Elokei Yitzchak, and the Elokei Yaakov. That I am the God of your son, and your grandson. Says Rashi, Yachal Yuchosmin Bekulan. So I would have thought that at the end of the bracha, I should say Baruch Atah Hashem, maybe Magain, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. I mentioned those three in the bracha. Lomar vayei bracha, but the bracha will be by you. You answer at the end, the last line of the bracha is Magain Avraham, only Avram. Okay. So this pasuk, this incentive to go ahead and go through the trial, go through the Nisayon, is based on what's going to be in the future. And what's going to be in the future that the Jewish people are going to call daily, right? We're going to say Elokei Avram, that you're the God of Avram, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov. This is very interesting. Because the pasuk is a bracha to Avram. It's to Avram. Hashem is trying to tell Avram that you're going to be great. And they mentioned that in the future they're going to talk about his son Yitzchak. They're going to talk about his son Yaakov. It should just be Avram. There's an incentive for Avram and Nisayon, a trial that he's going to go through. And it should say you're going to be wealthy, you're going to be famous, you're going to be righteous. I don't know, whatever it is that you will be blessed with, you're going to be blessed. Why is it that it's mentioned he's also, Yitzchak is going to be great, and Yaakov is going to be great, that God is going to be called by their name? It seems not to be a bracha to Avram, it seems to be a bracha to Yitzchak and to Yaakov. This question is asked by the Eliyah Rabbah. The Eliyah Rabbah is one of the main halachic commentators on Shulchan Aruch. And in Hilchos Shmona Esrei, it's in the Kuf Yud Gimel 113, he asks this question. He says, what's going on? This pasuk is talking to Avram. It's all about blessing Avraham. And we're saying that Yitzchak's going to be great and Yaakov is going to be great. That Hashem is going to be called by their name. And he quotes a Gemara. He says as follows. The Gemara says in the Maseches Tainis, and the Avheyim Bebeis, Vav Meralef, IB6A, it's a song. Most Gemaras became famous through songs, and this is definitely one of them. Okay? The Gemara says, Amar, Ilan, Ilan. You want to hear that song? Okay. I don't know the character that well. The Gemara says to the tree, tree, what can I bless you with? If I'm going to say that your fruit should be beautiful, should be sweet, your fruits are already sweet. You should have nice shade. It's already nice. That there should be a water flow under the tree to give it water, etc. It already has it. So what am I supposed to bless you, tree? Elihi Ratzon, it should be the will, all plants that are planted because of you, take part of the tree, you replant it somewhere else, you kamoscha. It should turn out like you. Afata b'ma v'rechecha. So too, Hashem was saying to Avram, what am I going to bless you with? In the Torah, if it's going to be the knowledge of Torah, Torah, you already have it. In the Osher, it's wealth, Osher, you have it. In the Banim, if it's going to be with sons, Banim, you can have sons. Eli Yuratzon sheet says, Me'echa kamoscha. The greatest bracha is that you should have your descendants like you. And that's what the Gemara in Maseches Taanis says. So the Eliyah Rabbah says that's exactly what's happening over here with Avram. Hashem is saying to Avram, you know what the greatest bracha that I can give you? It's that it's not just that you're going to be called the one that revealed God. That everyone's going to say, okay, Avram, he's the God of Avram. He's the one who found you. He's Avram. The greatest bracha that I can give you, like this Gemara says, is that your sons, Yitzchak, your grandsons, Yaakov, are also going to be called based on God, which means that you will have children that will follow in your ways. Just like that Gemara goes on and says, and that was the bracha to Avram. Meaning, it's true that we say Elokei Yitzchak and we say Elokei Yaakov. We talk about how amazing Yitzchak was and Yaakov was. But that was all a bracha to Avram. That Avram, if you go ahead and you go through these trials, you go through these nisyonos, you're going to have big stuff that are going to come out of you that are going to be able to go ahead and follow in your ways. And on some level, Yitzchak and Yaakov even trumped, even went beyond Avram, was able to get better to the extent that Yaakov was a tzaddik on the highest level, was able to fuse anything that Avram didn't have, anything Yitzchak didn't have, put it together to the greatest level. Hopefully we'll speak about that in future weeks. But the bracha over here to Avram were that his descendants were going to live up to him and even greater. The Ramban points out that the same thing we find at the end of Sefer Bereshit. Yaakov Avinu is about to die in Parshas Vayechi, and he's giving brachas to all of the different shvatim, right? So the pasuk says, "Vayivarachas Yosef." Yaakov comes along and is about to give a bracha to Yosef. And what does he say? The pasuk says, "Perik Memches, pasuk Tezvav and Tezayin, Vayomar," and he says, "Hamalach hagoel osimi kol ra," the malach that took me out of any difficulties that I had, Yivarech Hasanarin. He should bless your children. So the Or HaChaim HaKadosh and the Ramban and the Rashbam said, hey, wait a second. You're giving a bracha to Yosef. Yaakov, you're jipping Yosef. Everyone else, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, they all got their brachas. Yosef gets nothing. What's he say? He says that your sons are going to be blessed. So what's going on over here? So the Ramban and the Rashbam says, Birkas HaBanim, Hi Birkas HaAv. When you go ahead and you bless a child, that's the same thing as blessing the father. Why? Because for a child to be successful, for a child to be able to grow up in the way that his father envisioned or even greater, is the greatest blessing that you could go ahead and give a father. And that's what this pasuk in Parshas Lecha is telling us, that Hashem blessed Avram by saying that Yitzchak and Yaakov are going to be great. How's that applicable to us? So I'll tell you how it's not applicable. Let's start with that. Sometimes I hear, hey, so why do you want to learn Gemara? Why work me so hard? It's difficult. Maybe you don't enjoy it so much. So why are you doing it? Rabbi, I need to do it because in the future, I need to be able to learn with my kid. So I gotta figure this out so I can go ahead and learn with my kid one day. That is the worst answer anyone could ever give. Okay? There's no room for that in this yeshiva. Is there a value to that? There's a value to that. But that can't be why you're going to spend your days and your nights and your time killing yourself so that at a certain point, you're going to be able to go ahead and learn with your kid. That doesn't work that way. It's not what it's supposed to be. Instead, it should be because you enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, to figure out why you don't enjoy it. And try to be able to appreciate the value of it in the long haul, even just for yourself. It's not just about some technicality that maybe I'll have a son or a daughter that wants to learn with me, I have to be able to learn with them. It's not just that. It's much more than that. What happens? A lot of times when we are setting goals, we all set goals. We might not keep to our goals, but we all set goals at a certain point. What are our goals that we set? So mostly, someone will have a goal. This is what I want to accomplish today. This is what I want to accomplish this week. Some people say, this is what I want to accomplish this year. Okay, that's pretty good. A whole year of an accomplishment, that's significant. Very few people will say that what I want to accomplish today is part of my 5-year plan. Because I'm not planning on staying in yeshiva for 5 years. So how does today fit into the 5-year plan? Most of us don't even have 5-year plans, let alone a 10-year plan or a 20-year plan. Very few people say that in 20 years from now, this is the age that I'm going to be, this is what I would like to know, this is what I would like to have, and this is what I would like to be doing. Very, very few people. I strongly believe that that's a function of the education system that many of us were brought up in, where they're like these boxes. You're in elementary school, so I need to learn how to read. So that's it. This year I'm learning how to read. Very rarely in first grade do they tell you, look, you need to know how to read, because when you're 40, it's going to be very important to read those contracts when you're a lawyer. Right? That doesn't come up in first grade. So no one really explains to you why you have to read. Okay, we figure it out. That's an easy one. But many of us, I'm speaking about myself right now, could be in certain math classes. Like, why in the world do I need to know this? Like, what? First of all, they invented something called a calculator, and I could just put it in. Why do I need to? Why is this good for me? What? And we don't understand. We're put in certain boxes. Now, there are values. We're not getting into those right now, but there are certain values, but they're not explained in a much bigger and broader picture. And then we get into high school. Okay, what's the goal? The goal is you got to get into college. So whatever I have to figure out to do in order to be able to get to the next step, that's in the box. But very rarely is it put into a much bigger and broader perspective. That cannot exist in our life. We must think the long term. We must think in the long haul what's going to be. Now, very important, there's an important parenthesis. You might change what that is over the course of time. Okay, you could right now have your 20-year plan, and in 2 years from now you might change that. That's okay. But it's important to think about what it is. What is the future? What does it look like? And what am I doing right now that's going to help me get to those goals in the future? Such a mindset is a game changer. Because certain things that we might be anxious about right now, we might realize it's not so important right now. I have time. I can pace myself. A lot of times people do this with learning. I only have 1 year to learn, so I got to learn everything right now. And they come out at the end of the year with zilch. They remember nothing and they gain nothing because they just cram the whole thing in. But if you think, I'm going to be learning for 20 years. Rabbi, wait a minute, I'm not learning for 20 years. No one learns for 20 years. That's not true. You can learn for 20 years, a half an hour a day. That you know people that do. Right? Or it could be an hour a day, whatever the amount is going to be. We could look in the long haul and we could say, I have a long time to be able to accomplish this, and this. So what do I want to learn now? What skills do I have to develop now so that I can continue in my own learning, my own development in the future? I want to be able to work on my midos. I want to work on my certain character traits. So some people say, well, this is my issue. I got to work on this now. And very intense. And then all of a sudden they get one challenge and boom, the whole thing falls apart. Instead, you have to say, okay, I have time to work on this. Let me figure out a plan. How is it that I'm going to work on being more generous? How am I going to work on being more patient? And then be patient with going ahead and allowing that skill, that character trait, to be developed and to be ingrained in ourselves. Now, we don't want to, God forbid, say, well, I have 20 years, so let me just sit up and drink a cup of coffee and just relax. No, we want to work hard, and we have to push ourselves. But it's very healthy when all of our daily interactions, our daily accomplishments are in a much grander scale. We'll know what halacha to learn, what mussar to learn, what relationships to build, what character development, what we want to do. We'll be able to build ourselves in a much more significant way. And then 10 years from now, we can keep our pace going. We might change things, we might like things more, we might drop things, we might alter our plans. That's very, very normal. People change jobs, people change schools, people change life. That's part of life. But we're always thinking in a bigger sense. That's what we see on some level over here from the Bracha of Avram. And this is the first thing. Avram is about to go into his nisayon. Lecha me'artzecha me'ladecha me'beis avicha. And Hashem says, let me tell you what the incentive is. Let me tell you what the bracha is going to be. You know what the bracha is going to be? Your son and your grandson are going to follow in your ways. And that's what we say in our Shmon Esrei. Elokei Yitzchak and Elokei Yaakov is a bracha of a function of Avram. That Avram, because of what he did, it helped Yitzchak, it helped Yaakov, and it didn't just help them, it made them even bigger. We have to realize that it's not just 20 years. It's 100 years. And it's 200 years. There's a lot at stake for every single thing that we do. Everything that we accomplish, every growth that we make is literally changing the course of history. Things are going to be different in the future because of everything that we do. That's what Hashem says to Avram. You're going to go through this test. There's going to now become an Elokei Yitzchak, and there's going to be an Elokei Yaakov. So first we have to have our own individual goals. And we have to try to think long term. You have to think short term. And the short term, how to get to the long term. And we have to write it down. We can mark it. We can grade ourselves. We can reevaluate all the time. What they call cheshbon and nefesh. We can go ahead and look to see, are we on track? Are we not on track? Is something difficult? Or we could try to figure out how to get through the stumbling blocks. And we could push forward. And we could also redirect ourselves sometimes. I think maybe that was a mistake. I made that 20-year goal when I was 4 years old. Maybe I shouldn't collect stickers for the rest of my life. That wasn't the best choice. Okay, you're allowed to change. You don't have to keep it going the whole time, right? You redirect. It's you're a big boy to be able to do that. Very good. But we have to realize that it's not just that. It's even further and it's beyond. Like the Ruach Chaim says, or Chaim Volozhin tells us, that every nisayon that Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov went through went into our DNA. It went into the Jewish DNA. He explains, how is it that we find the Jewish people were able to die al Kiddush Hashem? They were able to jump into fiery furnaces. They were able to go ahead and tell the Nazis, I'm not, just kill me because I'm a Jew. How are they able to do such a thing? Time after time throughout Jewish history. What gave them that power? What gave them that energy? He explains it's because Avram jumped into the Kivshan Eish. Avram went ahead and he jumped in. When it was up to him, with God or not, he went in. So that created inside the Jewish DNA forever that we have certain powers. We're powerful people. We have superhuman powers based on all of these tests that Avram and Yitzchak went through. We benefit from this to this day. And the same things with our children and our grandchildren. So it's not just like, I want to learn Gemara now so I can go ahead and learn in the future. It's much more than that. If I'm able to acquire a certain love of Torah, that's going to be passed on. And there'll be challenges. Everyone has challenges with their children, and everyone has to learn how to raise them and develop them, etc. Nothing is a freebie. But the more that we work and the more that we acquire, the more that we are going to be able to build the future, our families forever. So my bracha to all of us, and I speak to myself because I deal with this all the time for my own personal life, is that we should never ever be short-sighted. We should know what we're trying to accomplish. We get up in the morning, we should know what our goal is for the day. Everyone has to have that. But we should also know what our goal is for the week and for the year and for the 10 years and the 20 years, etc. And if you need help figuring it out, sit with someone that's a little older so they can help you out. I do with people that are older than me. We always got to be thinking the long haul. It helps us prioritize. It helps us decide. It helps us to know what direction to go into. And we should realize that every single thing that we accomplish, Every single decision that we make, good decisions that we make, that steer us in a healthier, better way, it's not just to help us get us to the end goal of 20 years or 30 years or 100 years, whatever it's going to be, but it's for Doros, generations after generations, going to reap the benefits of everything that we do. And if we think that long term in that big way, we will see that we will make better decisions, make better choices, we'll be able to invest with much more cheshek, much more desire, much more love, much more energy, and Be'ez Hashem will all be able to see what those peros, what those fruits, if the Gemara says, what the netios, those plants that are going to come all out from us, are going to be able to develop and sprout forward based on all of that tremendous mesiras nefesh and effort that we all put in. Shavua Tov.